Hey, Joe here. The old Eclipse has been kinda on pause for a little while, you know. Life gets in the way, get busy with other things, other priorities sometimes. You gotta put stuff on the back burner. So, I have more recently been getting a little work done, getting some preparation, collecting parts to move forward with the Eclipse. There are gonna be a few changes based on my original plan, but the original goal of eventually being a sport front-wheel drive car is still there. If you follow along, I'm going to try to make more videos here and keep you guys up on what's going on with Pro Street Eclipse. So let's take a look on what I'm working on today. You might recognize this as the rear axle from a front-wheel drive DSM, which is what my Eclipse is. If you've ever looked closely at one, you'll know that down on the bottom of this U section, there's a torsion bar in there, kind of acts as a sway bar. Well, we went ahead and got rid of that here. That bar weighs about 8 pounds, and in the interest of saving weight, I got it removed. I'm not going to be doing any turning, so a sway bar, something I would remove on an all-wheel drive DSM, so I removed it on this front-wheel drive. As we look closer, you'll find another interesting modification. I had my buddy Nick do this for me. I trust his welding more than I trust mine, so on important stuff like this, Nick's my go-to guy. What was done here was the original bushing that was located up here with a straight line on this bar connecting it was removed. This tubing was cut, slotted, tube end welded on it, good heavy-duty 3/4 inch heim joint installed. With this hole is actually an inch out farther than factory, with about another inch here that I can adjust out. The reason this was done was because if you increase the wheelbase of your car, it would allow more weight to be placed on the front wheels. Being a front-wheel drive car, I need as much weight up there as I can get. So lengthening the wheelbase is very similar to what happens when you put wheelie bars on a front-wheel drive car. The wheelie bars touch the ground all the time, and they keep that weight from transferring to the rear. So lengthening the wheelbase does the same. Most sanctioning bodies allow 1 inch variance in wheelbase. So that's why I went with 1 inch as my fixed length. But if it does help as much as I hope it does, then I'll be able to increase it about another inch when I'm just making time trials or going for personal bests. Alright, so we're about to install this rear axle. Got Tony out here helping me. We have to use some spacers here on this bolt in order to install this rear axle because these heim joints are narrower than the factory bushings that go in there. Tony is deciding how we're going to stack these washers that are probably temporary until I can get a good spacer. And we're going to throw this thing up here.
And I want everyone to comment on how this is the wrong way to stack the spacers.
Alright, so right here you can see our desired guess at how we wanted to put these spacers that are temporary. And we went ahead and got this bolted in here. So now it comes down here, and if we just go ahead and lift this thing up into place, that's what we're looking at. So, time to mount these shocks. Alright, it's finally time to put these to use. Alright, you ready? Let's do it.
Okay. You gonna install that?
Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can match your precision and accuracy.
Alright, good luck.
Alright, Tony, let's just swing this thing up and throw a bolt through it. Tony, can you hold this wrench on here? Or I can hold this wrench on here, and you can run this piece of equipment on the other side.
This is too heavy duty for me. This is an assault ratchet.
Oh no! Shh! Don't say. Oh, my channel's gonna be flagged now. That seems like enough ooga-doogas. Alright, there's that. Everything looks pretty good so far. The next step here is going to be to replace these old hubs with these nice new hubs. These new hubs come with the inner and outer bearings back here already pressed in, which is great. So all I gotta do is pop this dust cap off and pull that spindle nut off, and I can swap these out. Got the old 1¼ inch socket on the Ryobi. And this thing should just slip right off of here. Here we go. When doing this job, you gotta keep an eye out for this washer, which obviously only goes on one way, so there's not really a lot to pay attention to. But it's there. I'm gonna make sure I get some of this crud cleaned up on here. Let's go ahead and slide this thing on here. Kept this fancy washer handy. And this nut. And we're gonna have to torque this to the proper specs since there's a bearing in there, you know. I'm not one who's against just going with, you know, 3 Ogadugas or however they say it, but this is kind of critical here. So be right back. I gotta Google something. Looks like 87 to 101 foot-pounds is the spec. I got this thing set at 95. We're gonna go with that. Yeah, that's pretty close already. I'm gonna use a screwdriver and a hammer to tap a little dent in that nut right where that notch is. You can see where it was done like that from the factory, so looks like I'm pretty close on factory torque spec right there. And that will definitely not come loose now. Last thing to do here is to just place this dust cover on here. And I'll just tap that into place. The brakes need to go on here next. Problem is, I got me a fancy set of Willwoods for here, but nobody makes a caliper bracket for a front wheel drive, so I'm gonna have to make one. In order to do that, I need to get the rotor on there and get the caliper out and start measuring stuff. So over here, I got my Willwood aluminum hats. I got my bolts right here, drilled for safety wire, which I will be installing. So I guess I'll start putting this stuff together and see what it looks like. Alright, so we got this, and we got this. I just gotta put all these bolts in. Let's see, how does this go? Does it go like that? Does it go like this? Does it go like this? Oh, I got it. It goes like that. This is what I'm dealing with for a caliper. I'm gonna toss the brake pads in here, and I have an idea where to get started. So here we go. All right, so this is kind of all just barely hanging there by a thread. I'm gonna try putting the wheel on and see if it fits over that caliper. All right, so that all bolts on like that. If you look in here, you can see that there's plenty of room for the caliper. I think I need to consider long wheel studs on the rear too. I don't even remember what the rule is on that. If you have to have long wheel studs on only the drive wheels, I'm not sure why I didn't anticipate this, but I think I'm gonna have to wait to do the hub on the other side until I get some long wheel studs in here and swap them out. You can see that the stud doesn't go too far into the nut there. There's still plenty of work to do on the caliper. There is no bracket there right now. If you look back here, you'll be able to see that I just kind of stuck a bolt through there and it's just temporarily there. I'm still not sure how I'm going to build this bracket, but I'll figure it out. So, I went and got these tires mounted on these rims, and I couldn't resist putting them on there and seeing what it looked like. So, here we go. I'll do the long wheel studs later. For now, I get to see what this looks like. Alright guys, well here it is. This is the state of the union. Take a quick look. Hopefully you'll be seeing a lot more of this car. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.
Put cheese on it.